make sure you check out my website pcteach.me, where you can look at all the videos in particular category orders, also have the ability to contribute your own posts if you wish, and I hope to see you there. So we're now at the point of looking at creating a dedicated date dimension and also looking at hierarchies. They do go quite well hand in hand, but bear in mind hierarchies can be anywhere. It can be anything from a divisional or organisational structure to parent-child, family information, also geography information. So we'll be going through all sorts of different ways of looking at this information. So the first thing that we're going to tackle then is opening up the project. So following off where we left, I now have a project called Date Dimensions and Hierarchies. And I'm going to open that up. And we're back where we were. And fundamentally, the first thing we're going to do is just delete the date dimension. The reason is I'm not using it. I'm going to make my own up. So I'm going to delete that. And it says, hang on, if you delete this, it's going to really affect the cube. Yeah, I don't care, just OK, because we're going to re-add it ourselves. So once that's done, right-click on Dimensions and a new dimension again, using the wizard. Within here, we're going to use an existing table, that's fine. Or it says generate a timetable in the data source. Let's just click on that and let's just see what happens. Creates a new time dimension table in the underlying data source. Dimensions will contain data for the date range, attributes and calendars. You must have permissions to create objects. This is what I was on about, where it's going to create a dedicated table. Well, we don't need to do that. We've already got one. We've already got our date dimension created. Let's click on to next. So, what's the table? The table is date, so find that. There's the date key, it's found it, fantastic, next. And now it's coming up with what do we want to actually see? Well, in this case, pretty much everything really. So we do have this tick box at the top left, so I want you to tick them all and then click on to next. Actually, hold that thought. Before we do that, just brief description of what's going on. We've got the English day name, Spanish day name, French day name. The reason being is if you've got a multilingual system, you may want to ultimately show it in their language. Now, let me just be absolutely clear at this stage, it is not a translator. It's not like Babelfish from Yahoo. What it's going to do is nothing. All it's going to do is display what's in that field. And so if you do have the French names of the products, the English names of the days and the French names of the days, etc., then if you've got them, bring them in, because then you can do translations much later on. But basically there is an awful lot of grouping in here. For example, let's have a look here. We've got the year, the semester, the quarter and the month. So they're logically in hierarchy as well, aren't they? So let's look at this. So let's just do next. And it then says, okay, I'm going to bring all this information in. Are you sure this is correct? Yeah, that's fine. Finish. And there we are. There's our information. So exactly the same as how we've just done the customer one. We've got all this information here. However, there's a little bit more that we can do to it now. For example, there's no business intelligence in this at the moment. It's just basically a flat file. So what we can do is we can say, well, actually, there's a bit more going to this than meets the eye. So with it done at this stage, just go over to the date dimension over on the right here, right click, and you should see there's an option to add business intelligence. Now, there also should be a button on the top here which allows us to add business intelligence, which is the first one on the toolbar. So either way, click on that. Excuse me. It then says, welcome to the Business Intelligence Wizard. Fine, click on next. And then it says, all right, what are we looking at? Are we doing account, unary, member, some kind of ordering? Well, it is define dimension intelligence. So let's just click on to next at that point. Account, what is account? That's sort of finances, finance of accounts, chart of accounts and so forth. Unary operators, this is default aggregations that will be required. Making your own custom formulas, and also some form of ordering. Well, we're going to define dimension intelligence here, so we'll just click on next. And then what type of dimension is it? Is it regular? Well, if we scroll down here, there's time. So let's click on time. Now what happens now is it says, okay, I'm going to make this bigger. It says, okay, well, here are all your fields as the attribute, but what kind of dimensional attribute are they? Well, let's just tick year first. And it says, okay, the attribute type is year, so what dimension attribute do we have that signifies year? Well, we've got calendar year. Well, which one signifies half year? Well, we've got semester. Quarter. Ooh, gone too far. Where are we? C. Calendar quarter. I had it highlighted. Trimester. No, I haven't got that, but month I have. Okay, so let's go find that. So we've got month somewhere. Month, English month name. All right, not the best, but it'll do. The date itself. Well, we do have the date key, but we should have it's the full date alternate key, I believe it is. We'll check that in a minute. We can always come back and change it. Is there a week? I'm not sure. Is there a week? Is there a week number? There we go. Week number of year. Marvellous. Hour, minute, second. No, we haven't gone that far. Now, this is why you don't create your own, or don't let the computer create their own date dimensions, because it's the other little things off to the side that dimensions can give you, which makes reporting so much easier. For example, is it a holiday? Is it a weekday? Is it a working day? Why do we have that? Because you can then start getting some very interesting information coming out of your system, like how much overtime was paid over weekends, how much overtime was done over bank holidays or Christmas breaks or anything like that. So you've got all these different permutations of things. Now, let's just put it into something more related to your work. You've got financial years, financial months. Okay, I work for a company that has several different customers, and each one of those customers has different week starts. Some of them are in April, some are in January, some of them are in June. So what I can do is I can extend my date dimension to have customer A's financial period, customer B's financial period. So it allows me then on a cube to actually then keep in line with quarter one sales for all of my different contracts. It's very, very handy. But in the case of our database, we don't have any holiday information and so forth, but we do have other information like day of week, day number of week, and well, it says day of week. Do we have the day name? I'm not sure. Oh, we got English day name of week. There we go. That's better. Right. And what else we got? We've got the day of month. Well, that will be the number. So let's have a look. We should have that somewhere in here. Notice this drop-down list is getting less and less now. Day number of month. There we go. Marvellous. And day of quarter. I'm not sure. Do we have that one? Let's have a look. Day number of week. Day number of quarter. No, we don't, so we'll turn that one off. Anyway, they start getting a little bit more tenuous as you go further down the list. The only other interesting ones is we do have the fiscal quarter and year and so forth, so let's add those in as well whilst we're at it. So this is the quarter one, fiscal year. Oh, tick the box first, it would help. Fiscal year, and what else we got? We've got fiscal semester. Yeah, there we go. Right, I'm not going to bother with the others. Well, actually, there was month, number of year. Let's have a look. So, month of year. I think we've already got done as the name. That's fine. So we'll leave it as that, and then we'll just click on next. So then it just does a review, just saying, okay, well, these are the attributes, and then this is the attribute type we're actually going to put them to. Fine, click on finish, and then bang, we're back again. Now, all intents and purposes, it looks like it's done absolutely nothing to the system. I was very disappointed the first time I ever did this, because I thought, oh, I was expecting something fantastic to appear on the screen, but nothing is there. Now, it actually has done a hell of a lot in the background. It's just that you just don't see it. It's all in this properties section. So let's just go to the calendar year. Now what's actually happened is, can you see in the basics, that's the name of the attribute, but can you see the type has been changed to years, and in the drop down box you've got all these different options. Whoops. See, now what's happened is because I clicked on that, it's all gone wrong. So I'll just need to go back and just choose year again. There we go. So the great thing is that it's actually done a lot of the template work for you, but you could have alternatively dragged and dropped a field in and then actually chosen it from the side here. So that's defined our date structure better, because we've now got this information. But what we want to do is we want to actually show this in some kind of hierarchical format, because at the moment it's still very flat file. It's showing everything as a row by row basis. So let's just do something very simple, which is going to be the calendar year, quarter, month and date. So we've got the calendar year here, so we'll just drag and drop that into the hierarchy section, and that's the top. We'll then go to, well, let's do semester as well. Semester, quarter, and where's month? Pesky month, where are you? English month name. Now, may not be happy with the name English month name, so we can actually rename it and just call it month. Now notice that the source attribute is still called English month name, but we're just calling it month in here, so it's like an alias, if you will. And then we could go down to the date, but well, yeah, why not? Let's just put the date in as well. So the date key. Let's just do full alternate date, which is actually there already. So let's just slap that in. And I'll just again rename this and just call it date. Right, now, it's now called hierarchy. Well, yeah, well, that's not a very good name. So let's just rename that as well. And we'll just call this date. Let's call it dates. And so there we are, we've got a date hierarchy, but you'll notice that we've got this squiggle here, and it says attribute relationship do not exist between one or more levels in the hierarchy. Okay, not too worried about that. It's a hazard warning, it's not a big red X error. We've also got one over the date itself as well, saying avoid visible attribute hierarchies for attributes used as levels in user-defined hierarchies. So that's sort of defining this particular problem as well. But what is the problem? Well, the only way to find out is by processing. So can you process the dimension? Again, put in your password if required. This will now process it, and we'll run it. And there we go, it's done. So we'll close. Let's have a look in the browser at this information. So we're on the dates hierarchy. Notice the icon is a hierarchy. Great. Let's expand it. So there we go, 2001, 2002, 2003. Let's have a look at 2004. Expand that. 1 and 2, well, that's our semesters, isn't it? So we'll go on that. And then we've got 1 and 2 again. And then February, January, March, what's going on here? April, June, May, what? 3, August, July. They're all over the shop. Now, what's actually going on here? Well, we've got, first of all, that's the calendar year. We've then got that as the semester, so there's only going to be 2 semesters because it's half years. And then we've got quarters. So 1, 2, and that's it. Where's 3 and 4? And what's going on here? For some reason, at the levels further down, it's all going a little bit wrong here. Now, the reason for this is because you've not structured your dimension properly. Now, this goes back to, let's just whiz this down to make it nice and easy, because this point was never clearly explained to me and it took a while for it to sink in. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to reprocess the customer dimension just to explain this. Let's just run it. So this is going to go through and just say I'm going to process the customer information. Now I'm going to expand it again. Now I mentioned on a previous video that you've got the customer key. Now the customer key should be unique, so that would be all of the individual rows. So there's 18,500 rows here. But then when we went down to marital status, there was only 3 rows. Now why is there only 3 rows? Because there was only 3 possible permutations. You're either married, single, or we don't know. So why on earth have we got a situation then where we've got 3 rows being predicted there and 18,000 there? Why isn't that 18,000? Because you're saving space. It is doing a distinct to discover what the total values are. Now let's go and apply that same logic into the years. Okay, how many months are there in a year? Well, that's easy, 12. But how many years are there? Well, we've got at the moment in the browser, well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what it's going to try and do is put those 12 values across 5 years. So if I go into here, I've got August, July, September, February, January, March. Let's have a look. There's no quarter 3 there. Let's just have a look at another quarter 2. There we go. So we've got August, July, September. So it's sort of putting them together, but it's not putting them in any kind of logical order. Where's the rest of the period? Why aren't I seeing semester 1 and so forth? Because it is narrowing it down to a particular... Well, it's not narrowing it down, sorry, it's doing the opposite. It is showing that information across a broad spectrum of values. Now, let's just look at this at the very top level. For example, semester. A semester would have 2 semesters in a year, but it's not just 2 semesters and then that's it. There's more than one. If you were doing this as a key, you would have to have it as a composite key. So an example here is that the key column it's just the semester. Well, that's not strictly true. Let's just click on the 3 dots here on the key column. It is also a matter of having the calendar year as well. So let's just put that in, and obviously in priority order, year and semester. That would make it a key, because then I'm looking at the year 2004 and the semester of 1, or 2004 and semester of 2, not just looking at 1 and 2. I'm now looking at both year and semester. So let's just OK that. Now what we need to do is do the same thing for quarters. So if we go into quarters, now depending on how well structured your information is, you could say, well, a quarter is part of a semester and it's also part of a year. Well, technically a year will do it, because a quarter is part of a year. But if you wanted to be a stickler for structure, you could just say, well, that quarter is part of that semester, part of that year. And then the beat goes on. And then what we have to do is go through all of them to define the actual structure. But as I'm doing this, let's just keep going down. So calendar, quarter, semester. We've got to do month now, which is English month. Let's have a look at that. Well, this is the month name, which we can get away with putting the year in. And we'll do that. And notice it's saying collection now in all of these cases. Collection, collection, collection. And then date. And then date I'm going to leave alone for the time being, because that is uniquely defined already, because that is the key. But I've now made a complete path of destruction in my wake. You'll notice now that I've now got this name column should be defined when there are multiple keys. Absolutely. Well, if you think about it, I'm telling it now to concatenate the year and the quarter together, but do I want it to show the year and the quarter as the name field when I visibly view it in the dimension? Answer's no. What we need to do is we need to go into here, and we actually need to say, well, it's actually the calendar quarter name, so we'll just select calendar quarter and OK. Now hopefully when we click away, that's now fixed that problem. We now need to do the same with the others. So the name column for calendar semester needs to become calendar semester, and the English name becomes the English name again. As so. Right. So we're now at a point where we've got this structure in place. Now the question is, one of the big fundamental problems was that we had this February, January and March. Well, it's out of order because it's doing it alphabetically. Will what I've done fix the problem? Well, let's find out. Let's process it. And let's close that. And so let's go to the browser and reconnect. Let's have a look. So let's have a look at 2004. Semester 1, quarter 1, February, January, March. No, it's still not fixed it. Has it put everything in February in the correct place? Yes, it has. It's all there. Fantastic. But we've still got the problem. So the reason why we have got these months out of order is back to where we were earlier, which was if we scroll down and go to the key columns, because this is ultimately how it's being sorted and grouped together. So everything's fine until we get to the month name. Well, it's text, isn't it? So down here what we should have is we should have the month number of the year. So if we just add that in, promote it just so it's above the month name, that's obviously in a numerical order. If we click on OK now, let's just save it first and then reprocess and go through the options again and run. All being well done. And if we expand it, we can see that we've got the processing of hierarchy dates, but that's based on all the other values which are underneath here. So let's just close again. and close again. Let's go to the browser and reconnect. And let's have a look now. I'll just refresh as well. So 2002, semester 1, quarter 1, January, February, March. Marvellous. And then the dates underneath it. So there we go. We've actually got it structured correctly. Right. Now, next fun thing, which is on the next video. Just because you've created your hierarchy correctly, visually, is it optimally created for aggregations? I.e., if I want to see semester 1 of 2002 and the total sales value, is this aggregated correctly? Is it going to give me the information like lightning? The answer is no, and it's all down to what's known as the attribute relationship, which we'll come to on the next video. But suffice to say, this squiggle is now very important, especially if you want a performant cube. So watch the next video to find out how that's done.